We're here. We're about to go for a 3-hour stadium tour.
Hi, how you doing?
So you got the stadium in the back.
Yes, of course.
There you go. Even though we're Rangers fans.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So yeah.
I apologize.
That's, I thought tossed. Well,
Tossed. There you go.
right. ATM Stadium. Here's the entrance. Here's where we enter.
You know what? I'm okay with it. I get your point.
There you are.
Hey.
Yeah, you get a picture in front of that.
Okay. Yeah.
You tell. There's no price.
Whatever you want.
Boo!
Win on Sunday.
Boo!
Hold on a second. Hold the shirt
When
up.
Chris wears the opposing jersey, we win. I'm trying to make sure we're all right.
Look at me, Chris.
But I don't want to spend $50 on it, though. Is that how much it is? I have to ask. Oh. If I got a ball, I can take certain
Couple minutes. Just like the tour.
Okay, let's go.
Danny.
Okay, let's go.
I'm gonna take you up the elevator.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Are we up top?
Up top row 11.
Highest point?
Highest point. Give him $250.
Just for that?
Right below Matt
Quick look inside the club level.
Huh?
This is the club level, but
Helmet or football?
Christopher, you want to hold a helmet?
here's where they actually get. Here's your photo op stand.
You're gonna get nosebleed. You're gonna get nosebleed by up there. You can get. The thing is, they got multiple sections of all of them.
But you know for sure we're the last one?
Hey, how you doing? Guess we're ready now.
We're all going to do it together?
Yeah. We'll do both then. Okay, we do both balls. You can do that. You want to hold on to the ball? You want to do one? Take the ball.
Everybody hold the helmet?
Hold the helmet.
You don't have to take these pictures.
It's the only place where you're able to get a seat.
The AT&T Stadium.
AT&T.
AT&T.
Yeah. Chris is worried about how do we get way up there.
They have escalators.
We're higher than the cars or
We
something.
got to climb over all those seats, so you got to climb all the way up till we get to the top.
Yeah.
You think you can do that for us, bud? Get your cardio going in?
Chris is climbing. Climb up there. Climb up there. Show us. It's going to be a lot of climbing.
Yes, a lot. You'll be getting your exercise in.
Yeah, that's a workout and a half, right?
It
We
is.
need Lindsay with her hiking ability.
Lindsay?
My daughter.
Your daughter, okay.
Chris's sister.
Yeah.
Is she married? started, Fred. You heard everything.
No, I'm good. Here, bud.
What was that?
Here he goes.
He's going, let's go Pittsburgh.
This is the Tower of Terror. It's pretty Everybody start screaming.
Hold on, Dad. Hold on.
You control that.
The time is now for an evening, but unlike anything you ever expected. This is a maintenance service elevator.
No, we're actually going.
You may find yourself a permanent record in the Twilight Zone.
Master in years ago. They do. They changed it.
Oh, there you go.
Hey.
Hey, you know what? It's a free country. You can roll with whoever you want to. The spiel's about the same. You just may have better jokes, you know.
There's no section right over here, 401.
All right, can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys way down there? Can you hear me?
Like that, I think.
If not, you might want to move a little this way, or you don't have to listen. It's cool, whatever. But all right, we'll go and get started. First thing is, I see we do have some Cowboy fans here, but do we have any other teams representing? Any Ravens fans here? Oh, wait, we got someone right here. Yeah, there's one. Anybody? Any other Ravens fans? Woohoo! Okay, all right. I thought you were TCU. I thought you were supporting my team. Okay. All right, it's all good. It's all good.
We'll
It's all
support
good.
you when you play Pittsburgh.
Okay, there you go. All right. So we have any Eagles fans, Commanders, Giants? Any other fans represented here? Who's that? Uh-oh. Packers. That's a painful word. It's okay. All right, we can all get along for the next hour and a half, right? As long as if we have Eagles fans, I usually have to call security just to make sure they're watching me. We got the snipers ready and everything just in case something goes down. But okay, well we'll go and get started. So right now you guys are standing in the largest dome structure in North America at 3 million square feet. They began construction in 2006 and completed in 2009 at a cost of $1.2 billion. Ooh. And 1.2 billion, not million, but billion. At the time, that was one of the most expensive stadiums in the world. We actually were the largest one at the time, but they have since built a stadium over in Singapore. It's a little bit bigger, so we can't say that anymore. But it is the largest one in North America. So now the first year of construction, we spent digging out the lower bowl, so everything from the street level down. It took us 1 year to dig that out and remove 1.5 million cubic yards of dirt. You guys familiar with Jerry Jones? You know he knows how to make money, right? So he didn't just throw that dirt away, he actually sold it to the Texas Highway Department, and they used it to build the George Bush Turnpike over in Dallas. So made a little extra side hustle money. I thought it was pretty clever. Now if you look around the stadium, you're going to see 80,000 plastic seats. They're recycled plastic actually from Australia. They are held by season ticket holders. But on Cowboy game day, we'll have about 95,000, somewhere in there, we average. So where do we put everybody else? So we have 3 standing room only platforms on this side. We have 3 on the other side, and then we have the people in the suites. That's how we make up that difference. If you're wondering what the biggest crowd is we've ever had in the stadium, 108,000, and that was for the NBA All-Star game. Our second biggest crowd was last year, 104,000, and that was for WrestleMania. So go figure, right? Okay. Now we are hosting World Cup Soccer 2026. We're hosting 9 matches here, so we're going to have crowds, I'm sure, around the 100,000 mark consistently on that. So if you guys get the inkling to come see some World Cup Soccer in 2026, this is the place to come do it. So let's go and talk about our field down there. It's actually one of 2 artificial fields we have here. That's of course, the Cowboy field. That one is permanently marked with all the markings. And then we have one field that is blank, and that is for the college. Does anybody know the difference in the 2? Well, we can't just have one field.
Hash marks.
Hash marks, very good, sir. You get a bonus point. So the hash marks in the pro field actually line up with the uprights and goalposts, and in the college field they're much white. So that's why we have 2 different fields. Now, this field and the college field are divided into 5-yard wide strips that go from sideline to sideline. And what they do when they go to take it up, because underneath it there is concrete, and we do host all kinds of different events here, so we don't always have the football field down. But they have a tractor that comes out and they hook it up to each little section, and they go across the field and roll it up like a roll of carpet, and they set it off to the side, and then they take a forklift and haul it off and put it up on some racks. You'll see the college field kind of towards the end of the tour. You'll see some up on some racks. That'll be the college field. But it takes about 6 to 8 hours to take a field up, and it takes 12 hours to put one down. So we had a situation this last football season. We had the Cotton Bowl game on a Friday night at 7, and then we had a Cowboy game at 7 against the Lions the next day on Saturday. So they had to very quickly roll up the college field, and then as they were doing that, they started laying the Cowboy field down. So they still have to get down on their hands and knees and put the Velcro tape down across the field and do it by hand, even with all the modern technology they got today. So they do have like a crew that is pretty good at it. They're like a pit crew in NASCAR. They all have little jobs they do, and they're all very skilled at it. So, all right, let's talk about our little tiny video board right there straight across from you. If you can't see it, you might have to squint a little bit, but that is it's the world's largest, or one of the world's largest suspended 4K video boards. Those 4 screens make up 25,000 square feet of viewing area. The big screen on the side is 160 feet across and is 72 feet tall, and that is the equivalent of a 7-story building, just to give you a perspective on that.
No way.
It's got 31 million LED lights. It weighs 1.2 million pounds. It is waterproof, believe it or not, because we do have to sometimes lower that thing down to 25 feet above the field so they can power wash it when we have dirt events like monster trucks and the supercross racing, the rodeo events, that type of thing. We get dirt everywhere, so they have to like power wash this whole thing, including the video board. So now right now it is 90 feet above the field. That's where they keep it for football games. A lot of people want to know, do our kickers ever hit the side of it? Has anyone ever hit the side of it? Our punter, Brian Anger, a couple of seasons ago against the Chicago Bears, did kick, was punting. He did hit the side of it. So we do think the kickers around the league will text each other and say, hey, I bet you $100 I can hit that thing during the game, and they may Venmo each other or whatever. So anyway, it has been hit before. Now it's very versatile. You can watch the in-house video on it like they show most of the time. You can watch live TV on it. You can watch movies on it. But I think one of the coolest things they've done with it is you can play video games on it. So you guys familiar with the Jonas Brothers? You don't have to be on, they don't have to be on your playlist, but you know who they are. They did a concert here a few years ago, and as part of their negotiations, they wanted to play Halo on the video board. So they got the Halo game, brought their Xbox, sat in a suite for about 2 or 3 hours, and then they did their concert that night. So pretty genius if you ask me. Speakers that are hanging, these curved speakers all over the roof here. The smaller ones, if we took one down and laid it out here in the concourse next to you, it'd be about the size of a minivan.
Wow.
And then the bigger ones would actually be the size of an 18-wheeler.
Whoa.
They are a little smaller appearing than they really are. So now let's go ahead and talk about our famous hole in the roof. How many Cowboy fans I got here? Raise your hand if you're a Cowboy fan. I got a little backup here. All right. And some of you other fans may remember our old stadium, Texas Stadium over in Irving, Texas. It's about 30 minutes to the east of here. That stadium was our stadium in the 70s, 80s, 90s until we moved here. It had a very distinct hole in the roof. Okay, it was an outdoor stadium. Now, when they built this stadium, they wanted to pay tribute to the old Cowboys, so they left the hole in the roof. So, Cowboy fans, can you tell the rest of these fine people today why we have a hole in the roof? Anybody know? So God can watch his favorite team. That is correct. I've never had a group not know somebody that didn't know the answer to that. Now, but the first one I really think is interesting is that you get a really good view of how large these arches really are now. We're closer to them. But these arches that support the roof, they rest on these concrete structures called concrete abutments. Now, just to support the weight of each corner of the stadium, those things go down into the ground 76 feet straight down. And then they make a 90-degree turn, another 176 feet away from the stadium. So that's how they support the weight of the roof.
Wow.
Now these windows you're looking through, these are actually not windows at all.
Oh.
These are the world's largest retractable glass doors. So the 5 middle panels will open up, and 3 to one side, 2 to the other, and they make an opening of 180 feet across and 120 feet tall. So basically, when they want to make this an outdoor stadium, they will open up these doors. Another reason they do open them up is below us, there's one of the standing room only platforms that is sponsored by Ford, and they have some brand new vehicles that they put up on racks. I don't know if y'all saw those, but what they do is they'll open up these doors. They have a crane down on the concrete. It has a harness. It picks up the new vehicle, sets it on the concourse. They take the old ones out the little racks, and they switch them out. Now, the thing about these doors, because this building has trapped air in it, okay, it's a sealed building, right? If you just opened up one side and that's all you did, it would cause a vacuum and all the air would flow in and cause structural damage to the stadium. So the rule is that if they open up one side, they got to open up the other side simultaneously to let that air balance out gradually. So now if you look across the way, you see the building with the gray roof. I've only been able to say this one time in my life. I may not get to say it again, but that currently is the home of the world champion Texas Rangers baseball team.
Whoa.
The season's about over, and we're not doing so well, so I'm gonna ride it out as long as I can. That is an indoor-outdoor stadium. It's 4 years old, called Globe Life Field. Now the old stadium, which really was only built in 1994, so that's not really that old. The old ownership of the Rangers wanted to play outdoors. But everybody since then has kind of figured out that sitting inside of a convection oven watching baseball is a little uncomfortable. So they didn't really see the future, really. The old ownership, the new ownership, decided they wanted to make it an indoor-outdoor situation. But it's actually cheaper to build that stadium than to put a roof on the old one. It's just going to be way too cost, deterrent. So, but they still use the old stadium. You can see it between the two silver buildings. It's a beautiful old stadium, but it's not baseball anymore. It's actually football. They play the Arlington Renegades. The Spring League team, the UFL team, plays there. That's the league offices for that. They have high school football, some college football there, rugby. They got soccer. They play concerts there. They do a lot of events. So they still use the buildings. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this, but we do have a large art collection in this stadium. You probably weren't thinking about that if you were thinking about football, right? But Jerry Jones's wife is very much into contemporary art, modern art. So there is art all over this stadium. They have art tours. We bring a lot of school groups here that do the art and all that stuff. But this is one of our pieces down here on the concrete. Is anyone familiar with the Bean in Chicago?
What piece is he talking about?
It's just like an iconic kind of piece. They have that
right here.
That little museum district or whatever. That's the same artist that Nesh Kapoor created this for us. Our stadium is called Sky Mirror. Now, being a mirror, you can pretty much guess that it does reflect sunlight, right? So they have to be real careful with the reflection angle. because they didn't want to blind any of the helicopters coming in. Mr. Jones does come in on a helicopter for the game. And also we got the airport close by, so they had to get with the FFA to make sure it was at the right angle there. So, and then,
A few second video of this Cowboys trophy real quick. Yeah. Cool.
all right. We have any college football fans in this group? Okay. But there is a historical tie between the Dallas Cowboys and the Cotton Bowl game and the Cotton Bowl Stadium. If you're not familiar with the Cotton Bowl Stadium, it still exists over in Dallas, Texas, where the state fairgrounds are. They play the OU Texas game there every year. But that stadium actually was the home of the Dallas Cowboys. From 1960 to 1970, you could go to a game back then for $4.50. You cannot buy water in this stadium for $4.50. So things have changed, right? So in 1970, they moved to Texas Stadium over in Irving, and they spent the 70s, 80s, 90s, and basically all of our Super Bowl seasons there. And then when they came here in 2009, they asked the Cotton Bowl if they wanted to move their year-round offices, which is what this is, and then move the game here. So they play it every New Year's weekend here at AT&T Stadium. Now the two teams that were in it are right over here represented, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Let's hear all the cheers. Okay, I didn't think so. All right, and then you have the Missouri Tigers. Missouri didn't win that game this last year, so by doing that, they get a copy of the trophy. They also get their helmet put up on our pillars right behind you. Now, speaking of that trophy right there, anybody want to guess how much that thing weighs?
Not sure.
Be aggressive. 180 pounds. 300 pounds.
300 million.
I don't know.
Okay, 300 million. Now that's extreme. But anyway, so it weighs 60 pounds. And the only reason I bring that up is because I'm going to ask you guys this question. Is Tom Brady the greatest of all time, the GOAT? Because there's a video out on YouTube where he is playing catch with the Super Bowl trophy. They're throwing it from boat to boat. Has anybody seen that video?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm asking you, is it that impressive? Because the Super Bowl trophy only weighs 7.5 pounds. So, the greatest of all time? We'll leave that question to you guys. Number 61. Everybody see who that is? That's a very young Jerry Jones. He was an offensive lineman for the Arkansas Razorbacks in 1965. He was an offensive lineman at 190 pounds, if you can imagine. Nowadays, somebody trying to play O-line at 190 pounds, there are guys on the sideline handing out cups of Gatorade that weigh more than that. So, anywho, does anybody know who his roommate was? Who was it? Coach Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was his roommate. Of course, he coached us to 2 Super Bowls, built the team in the 90s, then left. And then Barry Switzer took over. Barry Switzer won our last Super Bowl in '95. He was a graduate assistant on that same team. So they were all kind of knew each other. It's who you know, not what you know, right? It represents the college football season. If you notice, there's lots of helmets at the bottom. Everybody's got
silver helmets right now.
As far as to the top, you get less and less and less until you get down to the 4, down to the 2, and then you got the 1 helmet stands alone. And if you're not a Michigan Wolverine fan, you probably won't appreciate that. That would represent Michigan for this year. Hopefully your team will be up there this next year. I'm not really having high hopes for my team. I'm a TCU Horned Frog fan. But, you know, we're in transition. But I'll tell you one thing. We did win the first Cotton Bowl in 1937, but I was not at that game. I just want to put that up right now. All right. We're going to head down this hall.
Disruptor Bruce.
Stop. I always like to ask, do we have any Minnesota Viking fans in this group? None?
You got raise your hands?
Nobody's going to admit it anyway?
No.
No, the reason I ask because sometimes after I tell this story, I have to go over and hug them and kind of hold them for a while. It's kind of awkward and, you know, it gets messy. But so it's a pretty dark chapter for Minnesota Viking fans, but it's a really good chapter for Dallas Cowboy fans. So how many of y'all have heard the term Hail Mary as far as sports? kind of a miracle play at the end, that type of thing, last-ditch effort. This is the reason you guys know that term, honestly. This is why this term is very commonly used today. It's because of this play right here, the most famous play in Dallas Cowboy history. This is the Hail Mary play. So I'm going to take you guys back to 1975, December 28th. The Cowboys were on the road in Minnesota playing at Metropolitan Stadium. The Minnesota Vikings were the favorites to win the whole thing. In fact, they had been to the Super Bowl several times during that era in the 70s. They had never won it, but this was going to be their year again. So their fans are very confident. The team is very confident. They had the purple people eater defense with some future Hall of Famers on there. The Cowboys, we were in kind of a transition year, but we still made the playoffs. We were a wild card team. We were like one of the lowest seeds. We had a lot of rookies on that year, that team. But we did have a quarterback named Roger Staubach. And Roger Staubach's nickname, one of them, was Captain Comeback. So he was kind of like the 70s version of Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. You never wanted to give him the ball at the end of the game because a lot of times they were going to break your team's heart. This is no different. So time is running out. Just under a minute to go, the Cowboys had the ball at the 50-yard line. Our quarterback, Roger Staubach, told Drew Pearson, the original number 88, he'll let you know that too, by the way, told him to run, just run and go route. Just run down that right sideline. Just run as fast as you can, as far as you can. And we have no other choice. I'm just going to throw it up as far as I can do it, and we'll just see what happens. So they run the play. Actually, Roger Staubach does underthrow the ball a little bit. Drew Pearson does have to come back for it. He said when he first caught it, he wasn't sure he had the ball. He had it pinned between his right hip and his elbow. This is kind of where the controversy comes in here. Minnesota fans to this very day will swear that Drew Pearson pushed off to get open. You guys can go on YouTube if you want to and make your own judgments, but I'll save you the time. I know the truth, so it's all good. Now there is more controversy as well. This object right here.
It's an orange peel.
Anybody know what that is? And if you do know,
Orange peel.
don't give it away. It's what?
Orange peel. It's an orange peel?
Do you know this story?
Yeah.
You do know this story. Because there's no way you would know it's an orange. So he's correct. It is an orange. Now the significance of it being an orange is the fact that the Minnesota fans were very confident they were going all the way to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is being held in Miami, Florida at the Orange Bowl Stadium. So they thought it'd be cute if they brought oranges to the stadium, throw them onto the field when they beat the Cowboys to celebrate. Well, the game was very tight. The outcome is not going to be very clear. So one of the fans couldn't help themselves. They threw a orange onto the field right as this play is occurring, right at the same time. If you go on YouTube, actually, if you check it out, you can see the orange coming onto the field, rolling across the field. Now the players and the fans thought it was a penalty flag because it was a brightly colored object out of the corner of their eye in real time. That's why this guy right here is pointing, right there. Of course, as this play is occurring, this guy falls down, so he has no effect on the play because he's laying on the ground. But they thought it was a penalty flag. Now, Drew Pearson did say after the game that he thought it was a penalty flag at first, but he realized that penalty flags don't bounce and they don't roll. So he said, I went ahead and played to the whistle, went in, and of course, they scored the touchdown to win the game. So where does the term Hail Mary come from? So after the game, they're interviewing Roger Staubach, our quarterback, and he is a very devout Catholic. That's very important to note. And they said, well, tell us about the last play. So he said, well, I just rolled to my right. I just threw the ball as far as I could. I closed my eyes for a second. I said a little Hail Mary prayer. And the media loved that. They latched onto it the next day in the national headlines. It said, Cowboys win on Hail Mary. And that play, that term has stuck this very day. That's why you guys, it's commonly used in football, commonly used in basketball, business even. So now there's one thing, excuse me, sir, fans, as this is happening. But the best part about it is row number one, the bravest man in the stadium. The lone Dallas Cowboy fan in his little jacket throwing up the touchdown sign. We're not sure if his family ever saw him again. Never sure if he made it home that night. In fact, no one ever knows whatever happened to him. But anyway, like Paul Harvey used to say, now you know the rest. All right.
Wow.
I'm sure.
So what's this, Dad? This
The
is
Sky Suite.
the Sky Suite. This is the boxes. The boxes.
Level number 7 of the building. There's actually 8 levels. We started the tour up on the 8th level. This level and the 2 levels below us are identical to each other as far as the suites go. Now this particular suite will hold up to 60 people. So it's a fairly large suite. They're actually pretty large when you get around the 50-yard line. But as they go around the curves, they get smaller, about between 15 to about 25 people for the most part. Now the big question, one of the big questions really that get asked are where does Jerry Jones and his family, where do they enjoy the game from? Now it's an interesting situation. They do have their own family suite, but they also, Jerry Jones and his 2 sons like to kind of be isolated during the game. It's smaller little area. They don't want to be distracted because they take everything very seriously. Anyway, so if you look on the 50-yard line, if you go up to the top of the second section, you see that 3-sided white structure. That's called the perch. And that's where, if you ever see a game from here, they always show the camera shot of Jerry Jones in the booth. It's Jerry Jones in the middle, Jerry Jr. and Stephen, his 2 sons, will sit on the right left of him, and then he has a few of his grandkids will be standing behind him. It's not a real large area. It'll hold probably about 10 people comfortably, maybe if that. There's not a lot of seats in there. I think that's one of the grandkids. He's got his bodyguard up there. They got a private elevator. They've got a big screen TV that can be divided up into several different, like Sunday ticket, like little squares. And also, it's got a small kitchen in there, and it's got a bright red phone. Same level as you have tickets. I think it's on the 50-yard line. The first 3 levels of the stadium. Let's go down there and get on some line. So there's a lot of people getting out. It's kind of a hyped up area before the game. They have strobe lights, smoke machines, a lot of flashing lights.
On.
You came here, somebody said something mean to him, and he got all upset. They might have allegedly thrown a beverage on him, so the clubs this side of the stadium, those divisions that we got the plexiglass on. But I will say that both of these clubs do have a star that lights up on the roof, and that star is a subtle reminder to the visiting team who's
They're really having the time of their lives. Cool.
What's that, buddy? Well, they're out on the field. What's with that, huh?
Man, they're really enjoying themselves too.
Yep.
At the field level, I guess.
We're all to keep all the stuff.
That's right.
Keep all the,
Yeah.
This is where they're packing up. This is where the real work comes.
that's right.
Yeah. Yep. Let's go. The cheerleaders' locker room.
Everybody has to dress up like a cheerleader now.
Their season starts in May and ends the following May. So in May, what they do is about 1,000 young ladies will send in videos, and then they will pick the finalists of about 75, and they will attend the training camp in up in Frisco, Texas, which is where the Dallas Cowboys headquarters is. Y'all familiar with that? The Star, they call it the Star. It was about 45 minutes north of here, but they will spend there during the summer, and then in late July, they will pick the final squad of 36 members. So a lot of people want to know, is it a full-time job? Although it takes a lot of time, the majority of them do have other jobs because they don't tell us how much they make, but obviously they need to make other money to survive. So that's what they do. So the requirements are, first of all, you got to try out every year. So you don't get a guaranteed spot, okay? Now I know the veterans though, they do get kind of leeway on the first couple of rounds on the cuts, and then they kind of goes down to finals. But then you got to be 18 to try out, but there is no maximum age. So if any of y'all are going through a midlife crisis right now, if you want to give it one more try, you certainly can. We did have a young lady a few years ago that was 55 years old, and she was a grandmother, she was a mom, she was a fitness instructor, very important to note that. But she tried out and made it through all the cuts. She was going to be a cheerleader, but unfortunately she decided that it was going to be way too much time commitment because they do practice 30 hours a week, plus they do all their events, private events, corporate events, they got the games. They actually do have a USO tour group that goes overseas and entertains the troops during the off season. So they're very, very busy. So she opted out. But I always thought that was very impressive that 55, somebody that age, not that that's old, certainly. It is. We did, up until last year, we did have a young lady from Ukraine that cool. Last thing is make sure you guys don't sit or stand on the lockers, please. And this is kind of a rule for the guys. If you're getting a picture in front of the locker, you gotta do the same pose.
That'd be a sight for sore eyes.
He's younger. He's younger. He's younger than the oldest one.
Oh, the recent college.
Maybe let me get a picture of you standing in front of it.
Cheese, yeah. Lots of smiling cheese. Okay.
Want to make sure you don't lose your mind. So I've got somebody in there this way. Yeah, I'm trying to find the wrong back. Out and head to the Cowboy locker room. So we're going to take a left, well, take a right.
Heading on out, heading into the Cowboy locker room.
I do now. I was worried. Yeah. Cowboys.
Cowboys locker room.
Well, yeah, well, that's it, but I'm saying that you just can't fix it.
That's who I
People want to know, do we ever see the players very often? Truth of the matter, honestly, is they're only here between about 13 days, 15 days out of the year to play their games. The rest of the time they spend up at the Star in Frisco, which is, like I said, 45 minutes north of here. So what happens is the night before the game, they bring in 2 big trucks. They unload about 4,000 pounds of equipment and towels, and then they set up the lockers for the Cowboys. And then the team actually stays at the Omni Hotel, which is located at the Star. So they'll have team meetings, team meals. The coaches will tuck them into bed, make sure the teddy bears are nice and snug, and then they'll get up the next morning and get on charter buses. Police escorts, they come right down here into the tunnels, they'll unload, play the game, do their interviews, get their showers, and hop back on the bus. So Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, they'll be on that side. The other side's defense, so Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs. And then you guys are going to see pictures above all the lockers. And these are Cowboys, past and present, that have been in 3 or more Pro Bowls. We have 2 that are still in the NFL. We got Zach Martin and Tyron Smith are already up there on the wall. And then last thing I was going to tell you guys is about the lockers themselves. They're made of a very expensive wood called African sapele wood. If you're not familiar with that wood, which I was not until I started this job, but that is the same wood they use in Bentleys and Rolls Royces inside the trim work. So they don't want us to sit or stand on the lockers, but they don't even allow the players to do so. They actually put chairs in front of all the lockers. Oh, wow. Hopefully they won't put their cleats or sit on the lockers, but there are some scuff marks, but we're not going to blame that on the Cowboys. We're going to blame that on the Green Bay Packers, because the Packers are the only other team to use this locker room for NFL football, where they used it during when we hosted the Super Bowl. So if it's all right with y'all, we're just going to blame it on Aaron Rodgers and just call it that, okay? This guy right here, he's a monster.
Yeah.
So each of the lockers have these players' names. Cooper Rush, Prescott, Jalen Brooks. Wow. See even old highlights from flashbacks from old games.
Yeah, I think they might have one, like CBS game.
That's neat. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Some old footage.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to see me have to win.
Quick look at the Cowboys bathrooms.
Head coach comes out. He gives a statement. He takes questions from the media. That you'd be sitting where they are. There are cameras in the back. And then he'll take questions, and then the starting quarterback will traditionally come out and do the same thing, give a statement, take questions. And then the players have to be available 45 minutes from the conclusion of the game if the media wants to request to talk to them. They cannot refuse it as an NFL rule. Now, they may not always say a whole lot, but they still have to give the interview. So, as far as this room right here, if you notice the glass over here, on the other side of that glass, that is the Miller Lite Club. That's that club area I showed you guys when we were up in the suites. That's where the Cowboys come on and off the field. So as you can tell, it's not very long. Long walks for the players. Come to the locker room, they just come down this little pathway right outside this wall, walk through the doors, and that's where all the people will be with all the smoke machines and the strobe lights and everything, loud music. But you can imagine how loud those people would be like after a game, because they've been having milk and cookies all day long, so they might be a little excited. So that glass is actually designed to be sound resistant, so that it muffles the sound so that they can hear what's going on in here. Also, it's flash resistant, so you can kind of tell the way it's designed. They have those two thick panes of glass that kind of taper down, like an upside down triangle, so that's how they keep the sound in here. And one last thing I was going to tell you guys, and then we'll let you get some pictures. If you look up on the wall, you'll see pictures that are in black and white. You'll see pictures that are in color, and that's the way it is around the whole stadium. Now, they did have color film when a lot of these photos were taken, but they wanted to differentiate the two eras in Cowboy history. So anything in black and white around the stadium are going to be pictures from what they call the Tom Landry era. Tom Landry was our coach for 28 seasons. Probably not going to see that very often anymore in the NFL, but he was our coach. And then when Jerry Jones bought the team in 1988 for $145 million, by the way, it's worth $10 million today, so we got pretty good return on investments. I can't get my stuff to do that. So, but anyway, they wanted to differentiate the two eras. So anything in color is from any time with the Jerry Jones era, so basically 89 through present. So anything in the stadium, that's from when he's on the team. So if anybody would like to get photos, you may go up on stage. You don't have to make a speech or anything like that. You don't even have
No, he'll take a picture.
I am not a crook.
That's a nice one.
Good one.
How many dogs?
Nobody else is coming?
Oh, we've got the little one.
Oh, you got the little.
Oh, you want me to hold the little one?
I don't know what she's doing.
All right.
Oh, really?
Okay.
We're out there if you want to get some more pictures, or you can take your own pictures on like the star and everything. Go out there and hang out a little bit.
Isn't that cool?
Now, the way it kind of works, we're supposed to have other people down there that work for us. If you want to stay a little bit longer, you can. If you don't want to leave right away. If you got people that are ready to leave, here in a few minutes I'm going to be going up. I do have another tour, so if you're ready to go at that time, or I can also, if you're ready to go not too long after we get out there, I can point you there. I appreciate you guys coming. You've been the best group I've had since 11 o'clock. So. That's right. And on behalf of Michael Parsons and myself, of course. Oh yeah, and Jerry. We do thank you. So we're gonna head through here. You don't have to run through if you want to.
This is the best part, the coolest, the grand finale. We're about to head on to the field.
Who was it that stepped on
The actual Dallas Cowboys football field. We're actually doing it. We're gonna step onto the field.
Anytime you want to leave, you can stay here as long as you want. Yeah, did a video of us. We're going to stop on the star.
Come here, we're going to step on the star. Come on. There's people on there already.
Hey, Danny, get in there, bud.
Look, Chris. Look at Daddy. Chris, look at me.
Look at me.
There you go.
Oh, you can't. We can't send it to you. We can't send it to you.
You could do that.
Okay, good. Look at me, Chris. Okay.
How about you, Dad?
What?
Yourself, just get in there.
Yeah, we are. We're stamp on it.
You and Uncle Bill.
All right, come here. Hold it.
Action shot. You got a video?
Got a video?
Good video. Come here, Chris. Come here, bud.
It's time for Pittsburgh dance.
Pittsburgh kids.
So you go, go Ravens. Now you have to do the Yumba style. No, I'm kidding. You don't have to do that. Quick look at the video screen real quick.
This would be awesome.
Look at that.
Right
Wow.
there. If you wanted to see it on there, you could easily, and you can see the field, right?
This is awesome.
What else? What else do you want?
This is awesome.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So that's okay, Fred.
Wow.
We don't need to see the game. We can just say we were here. That's good.
That's where we're at.
That's an amazing football stadium screen, if I do say so myself.
Well, he actually said, I don't want to get these because Bill is cheap. That's what he said. He said, Bill won't pay for this.
So what is your final thought, Dad, of the tour?
Oh, it's a gorgeous stadium, Dan. Gorgeous stadium. But so you're going to be more gorgeous on Sunday when the Ravens beat the Cowboys.
Exactly, I know, and I learned so much from this stadium. So many facts that our tour guide mentioned that I did not know about. Did
Right.
you?
Right. We have the better football team. They have the better stadium.
Yeah, like he mentioned.
If it only merged the two, that'd be awesome.
He mentioned that the subwoofer, like the speakers hanging from the ceilings, are actually like the size of what? Like
The smaller ones are the size of a minivan. The larger ones are the size of a big truck.
wow. And I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, all right.
That was so cool.
Yep.
Quick look at the stadium seats real quick.
The nice thing
I
is,
wonder if the seats are like this up there, or whether or not they're just hard plastic like ours.
the nice thing is, Danny,
Go to Walmart.
we can see this game on the
Got a
TV.
couple things.
Yes.
That's a nice thing.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Bill, what do you think? What did you think of the tour?
What did I think of the tour?
Scale of 1 to 10.
It was in 3 hours. So we'll give it 8.5.
What was it?
It was started at 10:30. It's 12:39.
So it's like 2.5 hours.
2 hours, 10 minutes.
Okay,
So
but
we said between, we said it's going to be an hour and a half or 3 hours. We got there. There you go.
There you go.
We're tweeners.
yes. Yeah, I think. But would you
take
would you
care.
say, Dad? Would you think that this would be the coolest thing? That this the coolest thing that we've done in this trip
So far, but trip's too early.
True.
I want to see the best thing being a Ravens victory on Sunday.
Yes, definitely.